We begin this morning in Kenya on the Daily Nation. Let's see what we can quickly share with you on the front pages of the Daily Nation. It says here, freedom as Kenyans celebrate Jamhuri Day. Widow reaches out to King Charles, and President Ruto says, help me find and bury Kimati before I die. It says for Mukami, I beg your pardon, the widow of freedom fighter Dedan Kimati, it's been 65 years of waiting and hoping that the former colonial power of Britain will release her husband's remains. She says it will be her dying wish. That's a really, really sad story. You can find more of that on pages 2 and 3. It's a really sad story. And,
do you think that they're really ever going to find?
I don't think so. I think I don't know, but I don't think so. For me, it's a reminder that some of the things that happened in the 60s and the 70s and, even prior, there are still people who are living today that were witnesses and are victims of some of all those crimes and those atrocities from back then. So when Africans, talk about colonization and talk about the crimes of the West or whatnot,
it sounds like theory.
Exactly.
But it was some people's practice.
Yeah, exactly. And some of the things that, if you realize when they make some of all these images and tell these stories, they make them in black and white to make you feel like it happened in the 18th century or even before. But some of the things were as early as 1950. And people were alive in those eras. But anyway, still on the Daily Nation, expect bigger hustler fund, says Ruto as he doles out goodies. There's a picture of him right there on the screen. And also compensation, 2.3 or 3.2 billion shillings payout for land owners along Kenoi Marua Road. And finally, this morning in politics, IEBC, where careers meet untimely death. That's the big stories, or those are the big stories on the Daily Nation.
All right, now let's head over to South Africa and see what's happening on the front page. We have the SOWETAN. And on the front page of the SOWETAN, the big story says, it's raining promises and still not a drop to drink on page 4. President Cyril Ramaphosa tells increasingly impatient people of Chiani their long-running water problem will be sorted out in 3 months' time. It's quite a difficult ordeal. It's quite difficult to believe when people have had a problem that's been on for a while and then you come and tell them that, I would resolve this in 3 months' time. It reminds me of a certain government that can come and tell you, in 100 days, we're turning around this, we're dealing with this. Insecurity will become a thing of the past. It's promises. People don't want to feed on promises anymore. They want to see action.
And that includes in campaign season.
Yes. There's a lot of false promises going on right now. And I hope that when they get into office that people would remember and hold them accountable. And will not be fooled by these promises. Still on the front page, Joburg mops up after the storms on page 2. Mayweather promoter denies phantom payment. Details on page 17. How Morocco got it right and did Africa proud. We have all been proud of Morocco and proud of Morocco being a part of us. And, we're so excited about their journey so far. But if you'd like to read more on these, the details on page 17, or rather page 15. And final story, Messi's dream lives on. But what? It's on the back page of the SOWETAN. That's all we can take this morning. Let's head to Nigeria. All
right, from South Africa, come back to Nigeria. The Punch newspapers this morning saying here, withdrawal limits will cripple campaign funding, says parties. All right. And also parties to write CBN for waiver, say cashless policy will choke political process, fundraising. If Buhari had no access to funding in 2014, he would never have been president, says the PDP. And also policy would create logistics problems. Paying party agents nationwide will be difficult.
But
ADC.
This is not just one person, to be honest. I think it's across board.
Yeah.
Politics is sponsored by money. So regardless of which party, each presidential candidate is going to require money. Each party is going to require money to be able to fund the politics.
Yeah, I agree. But, I think it's also important that they start to learn. A couple of changes need to be made. I said this last week that we need to continue to develop and fine-tune our electoral process, and changes need to be made. People have always been wary of this whole process of paying people at the polling units, or what they call them now, party agents.
Yes.
They've always seen these things as some way of, some way with bribery also occurs throughout the electoral process. So some of all these things will need to change. If we're being sincere about free and fair elections, some of these things will need to change. Party agents wouldn't necessarily have to be paid cash. to be a party agent. And if you don't believe in your party enough to even be an agent, then why do you want to be paid? But I mean, it's a job, I guess. But once again, some of all these things will need to change. We would also need to continue to develop. We're not going to continue to run a full cash-fueled of society.
Sponsored campaign.
Improvements will have to happen at some
maybe
point.
The question will now be, how ready are we for it?
Yeah, well, obviously we're not, and that's why there's all this backlash and the pullback to it. But we'll see. You know, I think the CBN has been told to hold on with these new policies. So we'll see how it turns out between now and the end of the year. 439 foreign trained doctors failed assessment exam, says NDCN. And also, I can't understand Boko Haram phenomenon. And that's from the PDP's candidate, Atiku Abubakar. 33 states lack landfills, dispose waste openly, from a report. Still on the Punch this morning, a scary story. It says debt servicing to go up 123% of 2023 revenue. Oil production hits 1.18 million barrels per day, highest in 7 months. That's on page 29 of the Punch. And finally, 15 drug dealers caught in notorious Lagos community. These are the big stories on the Punch newspapers this morning in Nigeria.
All right, since you ended on a drug note, I will begin with that as we take a look at the Nation newspaper on the front page. NDLEA seizes drugs in powdered milk, baby food at Lagos airport. I think that the drug peddlers have become more and more creative. The other day it was inside someone's shoes. The other time, speaking of the one in shoes, I remember one time going to the airport and asking them, why do you keep making us pull shoes? And they say, oh, people sometimes used to hide their drugs in the shoes, pepper, and now baby milk. Anyway, on the front page, we still have Ipman to get petrol direct from NNPCL, oil giant in move to end product shortage. Wike, same faith, not reason to dump South's candidate. And we also have at the top, Lekki Deep Seaport promoters shop for $800 million to link rail line. Presidency defends Emefiele over alleged 89.1 trillion naira stamp duty collection. INEC begins PVC distribution today, so please get yours. Niger Delta slam Atiku for sending Okowa to Jonathan. And final story, nobody can split G5 allies, says Bode Judge.